What if the reason that you keep choosing the wrong people to date is not because you have terrible taste, or you always go for the crazy ones, or you always go for the cheaters, or you always end up with the avoidance, but it's actually because your nervous system has learned to be attracted to what is familiar, okay? Even if it's not healthy or good for you. Stay with me here, because I saw this video by Chase Hughes that was able to articulate this much better than I ever could, and I wanted to talk about it. First of all, my name is Andrea Hunt. If you don't know me, I'm an EFT tapping coach for Heartbreak to Healing. I help women to rebuild their lives and also to heal through heartbreak so that they can create the life that they deserve. Now, I wanted to give him full credit for this, but he explained this in this very succinct way. So it goes like this. If it feels familiar, it will feel safe. And if it feels safe, it will feel attractive. And if it feels attractive, then it gets repeated. Bam. All right, stay with me here. Think about that for a second, because it means something that can feel attractive to you, partly because it feels familiar. Not because it's good for you, not because you're compatible, not because it's healthy, not because the person is going to treat you well, not because you haven't experienced something like that before. It's because your nervous system recognizes it. And it goes, I know this. So what does this look like in relationships? So imagine you grew up around emotional inconsistency. Somebody was loving one minute and then distant the next. You never quite knew where you stood. Maybe you had to work for attention. Maybe you had to stand out. Maybe you even behaved badly just so you could get any attention at all. Maybe love felt very conditional. If you didn't get the right grades, then you weren't praised. If you didn't help and you weren't funny, then you weren't praised. So years later, you meet somebody who does the same thing. Maybe they're hot and cold. Maybe you feel you have to keep proving your worth to convince them that you're worthy of getting that attention and getting that love. And then they seem attractive to you, and then they pull away. They make you feel wanted. Then suddenly they're distant. And you can't stop thinking about them. You think, what's wrong with me? What did I do? There's just something about this person. And there's a part of you that wants to show them how worthy you really are. You feel that chemistry. You feel that pull. Maybe you even feel obsessive thinking about them all the time. And what if that part of you is feeling this recognition? And your system is saying, yes, I know this. And you've mistaken that familiarity for chemistry, okay? So I want to talk about the 4 magnets. So Chase talks about 4 different emotional magnets that can contribute to this pull dynamic, okay? Why do we get attracted to people over and over and over again that have the same patterns, even when we know better? So the mirror magnet is when you're drawn to people who treat you in ways that resemble how you were treated growing up, all right? The echo magnet is where you recreate a painful dynamic because on some level, recreating something familiar can give you the illusion that you can control the outcome this time, okay? So like the convincing thing that I said, this time you can convince them to treat you better. This time you can convince them that you're worthy instead of thinking that there's something inherently wrong with you all the time, that you can change their mind. So the reversal magnet is when you become the thing that once hurt you. This is, generational trauma when we keep passing it down, and hurt people, and they hurt themselves and they hurt others, okay? So maybe you were controlled, and so now you feel the need to control everything. Maybe you were silenced, and so now you dominate and you stonewall people and you refuse to listen. Then there's the completion magnet. This is the one I think so many people can recognize in relationships. You keep choosing somebody who resembles the person, maybe your caregiver, who hurts you over and over. And part of you is hoping, this time they'll choose me. This time they'll love me. This time I'll finally get the ending that I wanted. You're trying to finish an old story with a new person over and over and over again. So what is the other side of this? So here's where it gets really interesting, because what happens when somebody comes along who is actually consistent? Maybe they communicate, maybe they show up, maybe they like you, maybe they don't make you chase them, maybe they don't make you convince them, maybe they're not controlling or possessive or jealous or whatever. And you think, there's no spark. Maybe there isn't. But maybe you're experiencing something unfamiliar, which is peace, which is a lack of chaos. If you spent years associating intensity and passion, people can feel sometimes strangely flat when they give you that consistency that you're not even used to. Maybe you might be bored. Maybe you pick fights with this person. Maybe you start to self-sabotage. Maybe you sabotage the relationship. So, and what if you're simply not activated all the time and feeling this intensity? You just confuse it for maybe there's no spark anymore. So, and I'm not saying that every calm, emotionally available person is automatically, your soulmate or something like that. I'm just saying that there is this tendency to be maybe not as attractive to the unfamiliar. So sometimes we call chemistry that familiarity. So how do you start breaking the patterns from this? Because if you're listening to this, you're like, okay, wow, I totally recognize this in myself. How do you start to break that? So first, we spot the loop. You ask yourself, what keeps happening that I say that I don't want, but I keep allowing? When you're allowing something, you are not changing it, okay? Then name the pattern. Is this the mirror magnet? Is this the echo magnet? Is this the reversal magnet? Is this a completion magnet? Then I want you to trace the source. Ask yourself, when did I learn that this was normal? And from whom? Okay? Who taught me that love came from conditions? Who made me feel like I had to earn somebody's affection or approval? Who made me feel like I needed to earn attention in order to feel worthy? And then we expose the lie. That intense pull isn't automatically proof that you found your person, okay? Sometimes it's proof that you found something familiar. So where does EFT come into all this? Because I'm going to talk about EFT. So, because understanding the pattern is extremely powerful, because we can fight those belief systems, we can fight those patterns, we can fight the what if, and the need to prove yourself when you know on some level that what you're doing is not healthy. The obsessive parts, the push-pull, the overreactions, the over-proving, the feeling unworthy and feeling not enough or too much. Because if you can understand something intellectually and still feel completely pulled to it, you can know that person is not good for me, or that person wasn't good for me, and still desperately want them to choose you, but you know that that's not good for you. So this is where EFT comes in to help you release those beliefs, release the feeling in your body of the obsessiveness that makes you want to keep proving yourself and reaching out to this person. Because there's an emotional charge underneath that belief. The fear, the rejection, the need to be enough, the fear of being alone, the need to prove yourself. This is where I use EFT tapping. We start working with what's underneath the pattern so that you're not just intellectually aware of it. That doesn't even help most people, because we know on some level what we should do and what we shouldn't do, but we feel like we can't stop ourselves because emotionally we're attracted to this person. We feel we love this person. So you're beginning to change your relationship with it by helping you to release these beliefs. And if you're listening to this thinking, oh my God, I've been doing this. Okay, well, I want you to know that seeing the pattern is a huge first step. Because once you can see it, you can start making a different choice. This is exactly the kind of work that will be doing inside my free Heartbreak to Healing workshop on August 25th, 6th, and 7th. So it's 3 days to help you understand what heartbreak is doing to you, why what you've been doing to heal maybe it's not working. How do you start rebuilding yourself and start deliberately creating the next point of your life? Registration is open now. Find the link below, and I'll leave you with this. The next time that you feel that incredibly intense pull towards somebody, instead of immediately asking, why am I so attracted to this person? Ask yourself, what feels familiar? And if you just want to follow along with me, go ahead and click the button below.